What is up, everybody? It's time for some Oloro Suicide Squad. This is some straight up Esper aristocrats right here, man. A lot of fun to play, man. I enjoy playing graveyard decks and especially aristocrat decks, man. They're so much fun to win with your own creatures. Get them all into the graveyard, bring them back out, and win with a bunch of Blood Artist triggers. And let's see who we're up against. If our opponent will he's left with the tough decision of deciding whether or not he wants to go first. I know. Oh, there we go. All right. So who are we up against? We've got Geist. All right, man. Got a little Esper on Azorius right here. And get behind that. So let's check our opening hand. So we've got Scourge High Priest, Mana Crypt, Windswept, Epiphany at the Drown. Yeah, this is good. We can keep. I would like. Usually, your win condition is going to be Living Death or Rally the Ancestors. So you want kind of a tutor in your hand to search it up, but we can make it work. And plus, High Priest, man. If you get High Priest down with a couple other creatures out there, those 5/5 demons, they get pretty real pretty quick. And then Oloro's our commander just to kind of help us, because we're kind of going to dirtle for a bunch of turns. We don't really have... Let's do this lane real quick, and then I'll explain what's going on. So let's get down Mana Crypt. And I want to get down High Priest, so... Get down the Flooded Strand, crack that bad boy. I'll need to leave a swamp for Bloodstained Mire, so I'll probably grab a Tundra with this one. Oh, yeah. I was thinking ahead of myself on Bloodstained Mire. We'll get down Scourge Deck next turn. But yeah, with this deck right here, so your win condition is Rally the Ancestors or Living Death. And so you run some tutors in here to get into that. And then we've got some... Glimpse the Unthinkable, we have Tygam Scheming, ways to kind of like get cards into your graveyard. We're also running Crater Hoof, not Crater Hoof. I'd love to run Crater Hoof in here. We're running a Hedron Crab in here, and I love playing with Hedron Crab, man. He gets so much work done. He's a good little creature card. I cannot tell you how many cards I've milled on myself with Hedron Crab, man. That's he's put in some work in my Magic career. We'll get these graveyards set up there so we can see what's going on. But yeah, we'll use that Bloodstained Mire this time to get down Scourge Stag. Which, it's not that bad. We don't. It's not like we have a bunch of other creatures out there. So we're going to choose Tails. Lost the flip, so we're 0 for 1 on our Mana Crypt triggers. Ooh, Glimpse the Unthinkable. Yes, I will take that. Okay, so... Let's get out of the Bloodstained. Search up a black source. And we'll use the Windswept Heat to grab one more white source. So we'll grab the Underground Sea. So we'll get down Scourge Stag. And then, yeah, we'll just leave that one colorless mana. Yeah, we have Oloro as our commanders because we're doing a lot of dirtling right now. You know, we've got to get into a tutor, we've got to get into Living Death, we have to get into Rally the Ancestors, all at the same time while trying to pitch cards in our hand into the graveyard, play them out, sacrifice them, getting into the graveyard. So Oloro really gives us that that edge of just kind of sitting back and letting us gain a couple life. And then, you know, when we get him down and gain life, we can start drawing cards and get into some stuff. But as far as the Aristocrats build, we have 3 or 4 sack outlets. We have Blood Artist, we have Zulaport Cutthroat, we have the Falcon Wrath, which is the 4-drop. I can't remember his name. Maybe Noble, Falcon Wrath Noble. We also have Renegade Doppelganger, so if you bring all your creatures back out of the graveyard, Renegade Doppelganger will become a copy of Blood Artist or Zulaport. Now, when you're playing on Magic Online and you bring like 10, 20 creatures back, you have like 10, 20 Renegade Doppelganger triggers, so... you got to be quick if you're going to play this deck on Magic Online. But definitely a way to amplify the Blood Art. Really, you're looking for about 2 to 3 Blood Artist combination type creatures in the graveyard, a sack outlet, and then just a bunch of creatures. We're also running Pawn of Ulamog, so whenever we sack a creature, we'll get a Scion. So that'll just amplify it out. We have Reform in there, so whenever we sack a Reform, that counts as 4 creature activations right there. And... I forgot we've got Stormfront Pegasus just putting in some work, man. Good for him, man. He's happy. He's having his moment in the sun. You know, he probably gets put back in the the draft like junk folder, and he's like, "Hey, I'm getting a fight, man." And he's gonna get a Sword of Light on him. Awesome. Good for him. Okay, so we're going to choose Tails. Lost the flip, 0 for 2 on our Mana Crypt triggers. And drawing this scrub land, so let's... get down Windswept Heath. Crack that. We can probably try... we can get down Oloro if we want to. We can start drawing some cards. Yeah, that's what we may do. Well, he costs 6, so we can't do it right now. So, for some reason, I always think he costs 5. He costs 6. What we'll probably do right now is go and glimpse ourselves. Best thing to do in Magic, man. If you want to get a scared look on your opponent's face, go to a modern tournament and tell them you're going to glimpse yourself for 10. They know that doesn't mean something's good's coming their way. Okay, so we're going to get over to our opponent's turn, then we'll see what we got going on in the graveyard. I don't want to start talking and realize I'm not yielding to him. So what I can see right now is, okay, so we've got a Dross Hopper, which is good because he's a sack outlet. So you definitely need a sack outlet. We have Soul Warden, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 5 creatures in the graveyard right now. We have 1 Blood Artist, and we're good on a sack outlet. So right now, all of our creatures, they'll just sack for 1. So what you're really looking to do is get 1 more Zulaport or Renegade in there. And then like that Pawn of Ulamog. We're also running Buried Alive in here, and Buried Alive in this deck is just bananas because you can grab Zulaport and Falcon Wrath if you have the win condition in your hand. Okay, so we swing in right now for 4, drop us down to 31. Probably going to Epiphany, real top X cards. Probably do that next turn if we don't draw into anything good. I forgot Sword of Light. Okay. I couldn't remember what the triggered ability was whenever it dealt damage. But yeah, this, whenever you get like at least about 3 Blood Artist triggers in there, creatures, I'm going to call them triggers, it's easier for me to say it that way. Once you get about 3 Blood Artist triggers per creature death and you're going in your graveyard, then it's the combat math's pretty simple. Not simple, but you know you've got it. We're going to choose Tails for our Mana Crypt. 1 the flip, so we're 1 for 3. Gain 2 from Oloro. Ooh, Tunnel Vision, yes, yes. Okay, alright. He's got 4 cards in hand. Tunnel Vision allows us to dig deep into our library for a single card, and then it gets put down on the bottom. I mean, not puts it on the bottom. So, like, we're going to mill until we hit the card, and that card goes on top. So, I think what I'm going to do is we're going to play Scrub Land. And he's only got 2 mana, so I'm going to go for it. He's got 4 cards in hand. Maybe it's a count. Well, we could try and bait out an Epiphany at the Drown Yard. Let's try that. Let's see if we can't bait out a counterspell with Epiphany at the end of our opponent's turn, and then we'll have a Tunnel Vision next turn. But man, what a sweet Magic card right there. Tunnel Vision, name a card, target player reveals the top card of his library until that card is revealed. So we're hoping like a Living Death is all the way down at the bottom or something like that, so we can get a bunch of stuff in the graveyard really quick. Now, Living Death, if you've got a bunch of creatures out, you lose who's out there, but right now we just have 1 creature, so that's okay. And then as far as Rally the Ancestor goes, it has an exile clause, but you can sack all once you sack all your creatures and then go to the graveyard. The exile clause doesn't apply to them because they're back in the graveyard. Oh, I just realized I never covered. We're playing against Geist, and whenever it attacks, it gets a 4/4 White Angel onto the battlefield attacking, and it has hexproof. So, sorry about that, guys. Normally I cover the our opponent's commander, but I just now realized I forgot. I said his name, but I didn't read it. Man, this just has to be the happiest day for this Pegasus ever. He got thrown into an M12 box, and then it's, hey, you're going into my Geist deck, man. I bet it's a flying theme. Okay, so let's try the Epiphany. See if this baits out a counterspell. Hopefully it does, then we can sink a Tunnel Vision. Okay, so how do we want to do this? I forgot the exact stacking of it. Reveal the top X cards of your library. Plus one card deal. Separate into two piles. An opponent chooses one of those piles. Put that pile into your hand and the other into your graveyard. Okay, so I definitely want. I'm gonna do Pawn, Bygone, and Skull Clamp. And I'm going to hope that he's not going to want to give us these and put these into the graveyard. Especially by putting Skull Clamp in there, that's what I'm hoping. He's not going to want me to have a Skull Clamp with a bunch of Aristocrats action, which actually I do want these cards right here. So I'm hoping that he'll think that this is what I want and then we'll get these. So let's see what he does. But yeah, the Skull Clamp in a deck like this is just banana. Okay, cool. So we got what we want. And now we can try for the Tunnel Vision. Yeah, I think we'll make it work. We'll give it a shot. We're going to choose Tails. Loss of Flip, so we're 1 for 4 on our Mana Crypt triggers. Okay. So we put 2 into the graveyard. We're still at 1 Blood Artist. Now, we draw into Pawn of Ulamog, so that's going to amplify our creatures. So we can get potentially up to like 14 Blood Artist triggers. So right now, what we really need is we're going to Tygam. Well, we can go on Tunnel Vision. Yeah, let's see if we can't stick a Tunnel Vision. We're going to go for it. So we're going to go blue, colorless, 1, 2, and we have nothing else that costs 1. And I think what we'll go ahead and name is, if we go Living Death, he could counter it because it's sorcery speed. If we go Rally, if he taps out for something, we could do that. We have more than enough mana to do Rally. So I think I may go for a Rally instead because I like the option to do it on our opponent's turn. Okay, that's good. So let's just, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we got a 13, and unfortunately we didn't hit a Blood Artist trigger. That'll work though. We can make that work. Okay, we're past the turn, and we did draw into the Necromancer. So whenever a human dies, we'll get a 2/2 zombie. So right now we're looking at like in the neighborhood of 30 Blood Artist triggers. I don't know exactly how many humans we have. Oh, and then we also have a Grey Merchant coming out, which will be Devotion. So we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, between the Devotion with Grey Merchant and the Pawns of Ulamog and the sorry, I lost my train of thought because he was putting the sword on his Geist. Between the Pawn of Ulamog and the Necromancer, we should have enough between the Blood Artist triggers and the Grey Merchant. Him losing life. Yeah, that should close it out right there because we're looking at 26 from a Blood Artist and that amplifying effect. Yeah, because it's like we're looking at like 13 times 3. Looking at like 39. Yeah, we got it. So we're gonna go for a Rally next turn. So swinging in for 4, 8, 10, drop us down to 18. Get this moved up a little quick so you can see that. Actually, I may go and pop it out. And I'm gonna do a little. There we go. I like to keep my commander on the right side, but for this one, so we can kind of see our graveyard, what we got going on, it'll be a little bit easier. Okay, choose Tails. Loss of Flip. Pretty sure we're 0 for 5 on that. Okay, draw into Rally. And yeah, we have 2 basics, so we can play Sunken Hollow. Now here's the kicker. Do you want to go for it right now? He's got 4 cards in hand, and we'll need to rally for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We can still wait on our opponent's turn. Yeah, I'm going to wait on our opponent's turn. He's going to be swinging in for 10, drop us down to 7. Maybe he'll have something to tap out for. We should be able to close it out, though. He's got 4 cards in hand, and he's been really kind of proactive, just swinging in. Not proactive, he's just been, attacking very cautiously. Not cautiously, I don't know what the word I'm trying to say is. He just hasn't deployed his creatures. He's got 4 cards in hand. So we'll see if he taps out for anything, and then we'll go for it at the end of his turn. Especially now that we're down to 7. So we'll need to rally for 5 because the Grey Merchant's going to be the most expensive creature that we have in there. Okay, so we're going to go for it. Let's go for it. Rally time. I love thinking that all of our creatures in the graveyard are getting ready to jump out of a helicopter. Let's do this, guys. X is 5. Okay. See if this sticks, man. If it sticks, we should get it. If you have some type of removal on blood... Alright, there, we got it, man. Okay, I'm going to close this out because this is going to be trigger time. So let's get all the Soul Warden stacks on the triggers on the stack. And we have a Merciless Executor trigger. And so he's going to sack a creature, which will give us a... So we did the Grey Merchant, so he's going to lose a lot to our Devotion. Oh, look at that. Oh, man, that is a beautiful Aristocrat. Oh, look at that rally. That was so beautiful right there. Alright, so he's going to lose Devotion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So he's going to lose 13 from the Grey Merchant. Now, if he has some type of removal on Blood Artist, with all these triggers on the stack, we can start sacking our own creatures. So, and we can leave that Grey Merchant. It's on the stack right now, but we'll at least gain a bunch of life from Blood Artist. So I don't know what he's holding out for right now, but I guess I'll put this stack right here. I don't know if he's trying to do the combat math in his head as far as what we got, but so we have 1 Blood Artist trigger and we have a sack outlet. We also have some amplifying effects. So we have excuse me, we have Pawn of Ulamog, so whenever a creature dies, we get a 0/1 Scion, and then whenever a human dies, we get a 2/2 zombie. So what's going to happen is whenever we activate a Turo Husk to sack one of the creatures, we're going to get 2 more creatures, which is basically going to turn all of our... It amplifies our Blood Artist triggers by 3. So who's... He passed on our Soul Warden? Okay, I'm cool with that. I'm going to go and use Naturo Husk to sack it, so we get that Blood Artist trigger. So we're going to get, it's a human, so we get a 2/2 zombie, Blood Artist trigger, and then we'll get, also, yeah, I didn't cover the Athreos part right there. Yeah, with that path, he should have chosen Blood Artist. I mean, it still would have been hard because I can do all this stuff in response, so that path is still on the stack, and we still have our initial Rally to Ancestor triggers on the stack. So we're going to yield to that. Man, yeah, man, I love some Aristocrats action right here, man. This is some good fun right here. My first deck that I ever built was Immortal Servitude. That was really proud of, and it was a black-white Aristocrats like this with Blood Artists and because I've always loved graveyard decks, but it got to the point to where I was like, whoa. I can use my graveyard as the win condition. I'm not just using it to scavenge or just dump creatures in there and bring them back out. It was so cool to me that it blew my mind, my magic mind, that you could use your graveyard as your entire win condition. And yeah, man, I love a good Aristocrats deck right here. So we've got at least 1 Blood Artist trigger, and we've got that Grey Merchant thing right there. So we're gonna let this line resolve until we get to the Grey Merchant spot. I'm not sure if he has any other responses, so let's go and yield to that. Yield to the Pawn of Ulamog. But yeah, with the Necromancer out there and Pawn of Ulamog, man, it is just sick. Yes, we're going to use his ability. You get a Necromancer, get a 2/2 zombie. Always yield to that. We always want a zombie. Always yield. Let's let that path resolve. Let the Gray Merchant resolve. And like I said, if he's got anything, we're going to yield to that Gray Merchant. We're each going to sack a creature. Yeah, now that he's down to 37. So we're gonna do the Merciless Executor. And we'll just do this Eldrazi Scion. So we're gonna get 2 Blood Artists because he sacked one of his own creatures. But yeah, we should be able to close it out now. Even if he has any other, like, he's already cast Swords or Path, so even if he has Swords to Plowshare or anything else like that, we should be able to close it out with a bunch of triggers. Just waiting on him to get the Athreos trigger. So I'm gonna add it up. So while he's okay, there we go. So how many humans we've got? She's a human? No, she's a core. We're going to just yield to these Soul Warden triggers. That way we can get a nice looking stack. There we go. Looking good now. Alright, so now we're going to sack Merciless Executor. Get these triggers on the stack. And this will be a very painstakingly process if my opponent just kind of waits a lot on Athreos trigger. So, I may, no, you know, I was maybe gonna pause it and loop this out, but I'll probably sack Athreos so we can get rid of the Athreos trigger. All right, so he's kicking Blood Artists. All right. So in response to that, we're going to activate Naturo Husk. We're gonna sack the Gray Merchant. And that's the cool thing with having your sack outlet be your win condition, is that you can do this in response to stuff. So that's on the stack right now, but we're still going to get a bunch of stuff going on. And then once again, we can do it in response. So we're going to sack the Eternal Pilgrim. So we're going to be getting just a bunch of triggers. We're going to get the Athreos trigger, Blood Artist, and then amplifying it out with that. And we're going to make sure we sack all of our humans. Oh, and we also have an online Skirt Stag, so we can tap 2 creatures and get a 5/5 demon. I'm not sure what else he's got in his hand, but oh, yes, I want to always yield to that. So let's go and make a 5/5 demon. Got a 5/5 demon, so we're going to sack the demon. Athreos trigger, see if you paste for the Athreos trigger. Nope, doesn't. Okay, I see that, man. And we're going to use Drawshopper, sack the zombie. And that's what stinks about Blood Artists. You have to click them every single time. Let's sack the Hedron Crab. And with him not paying for these Athreos triggers, they're all going back to our hand. So let's sack... We'll sack the Drawshopper. And then what we can do is we're just going to keep... I'm going to yield to these Blood Throne. Sack the Bygone Bishop. And then let's sack the Husk. And the cool thing about all these going back to our hand is we can dump them back into the graveyard. And then if we get into another one of our, like Living Death, or I think we've got Mortal Servitude. Okay, so we're going to use Blood Throne to sack. I want to make sure we're the most efficient. We'll go and sack Skirt Stag. So we're going to extra zombie that because he was a human. And then next turn, I think, are we on our opponent's turn? Yeah, we're at the end of our opponent's turn. It's one of those times in Magic where you know, what turn is it, guys? So we have all these creatures in our hand. He only has 1 mana, so we can redeploy Blood Artist and then get it going back again. He asked if this was an endless loop, and it's not. It's just one of those. It's going to get really close to your life total. But yeah, so we're going to keep sacking these. There's no endless loop right here. See, this is where Magic Online, there's so many triggers, and it's kind of like if you're playing this deck in real life, you can be like, alright, sack this guy. Okay, so we're going to use use his ability, get that on there. Use Blood Throne. Alright, so he conceded, so I'm going to make sure we got enough. So we would have sacked the Necromancer, that would have been 1. We get an extra zombie. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Sack Blood Artist 10, drop him down to 14, and then we would have enough mana to redeploy Blood Artist and get some more actions out there. We could have played, it would have gone back to our hand. We could have got the Necromancer out, played our humans next turn, and he only would have had 1 man out, so we could have closed it out that way. But yeah, this is a Esper Aristocrat right here. So if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks, guys.